All right, let's start this baby. Hello and welcome. I think I'm live. Am I live? Boy, YouTube does not show me if I'm live or not. Well, I think I am. Welcome. This is October 2021, the Learning About Movies live stream. I am Josh Matthews, professor, doctor extraordinaire. I teach movies, teach all kinds of things. I put two things behind me today. I have all of my books, but I teach a class on Italian Renaissance. So we're going to Italy, I hope, in a couple months. That's a Florence book. And then over here, I still have to get this Fellini collection. One of these days, I'll go through Fellini like I have gone through Bergman. And I have a lot of Bergman videos, as you know. Some of you know. So go check those out. Also, follow me pretty please on letterboxd.com. That's letterbox with a D. Let me bring it up here if I can, because I'm pretty, I think, prolific on there. No, there it is. Yeah, there's my letterbox page. You can see it. And just go there and find me. Hit the follow button. I might follow you back if I see it. And yeah, so I write reviews or I write little notes to myself, and then, you know, people can interact with me there. It's kind of fun over there too, because it's maybe more dedicated people. It's less of a YouTube audience. I mean, all you people are great. It's just sometimes we get stragglers or people watching dog videos and then they show up to my channel. Right? So anyway, Letterboxd is great. Also sign up for my newsletter. It's in the description below. You're going to get something I'm trying to do it every week now. Just the update on the channel, the one or two videos I'm putting out every week, plus whatever I'm reviewing. I'm going to go to James Bond tonight, the No Time to Die movie. And then I will review it, put out a video review probably on Friday. That would be October 8th. And, you know, in the newsletter, I'll let you know all that stuff. So you don't even have to click on the channel if you don't want to. You can just look at the newsletter takes 10 seconds to glance at. So you can see if you want to click on that stuff or not. Anyway, Letterboxd and newsletter. We're going through in this live stream, as we always do. I've been doing this almost a year, probably over a year. The releases that are on the streaming services. One, what's leaving the streaming services, which helps us narrow down our choices for what to watch. Two, what new releases are coming out in the theaters. I'll just briefly look at those with you. And I'm actually very curious in the chat, anybody from Europe would have seen by now Dune. Isn't Dune out? Those of you who have seen Dune. And what else? I think that James Bond's been out, correct? In the movie theaters. So I'm very curious what the Europeans or anybody else in the world who has had access to Dune. I'm rooting for Dune, but it hasn't come out in the United States yet as of, this is October 7th. I think it comes out the 22nd in a couple of weeks here. And I'm rooting for it because I think it has the chance to be an intelligent spectacle, which is an area of cinema that's sorely lacking these days. We get spectacles and we get sort of intelligent movies. You don't usually have the combo. And I think to some degree we used to. Probably. That's arguable, but probably. And so I'm wondering if Dune will be that or not. It has a chance. And it's obviously not a franchise, although it is. I mean, as a science fiction set of 100 books or whatever it is. And there's a previous movie. But it may become a franchise, but it's not yet one. So it has a lot of... There's a lot of opportunity with it. And I think that's why a lot of people are excited, not just because of the director and the trailer, but because of what it could represent, although I always temper my expectations. Anyway, it's great to see you all. Thanks for showing up. Yeah, I'm looking over in the comments. If you have any questions or observations or better recommendations, put them in the comments. This is usually like recommendations here, so I'm going to start with a couple of these. Actually, I'll do this first. I was just looking at my shelf today. What am I going to make a video on eventually? And I was looking actually at Ridley Scott is making a movie called The Last Duel. And he's old now. I'm sorry to say he's old, but he's 80-some years old. I don't know if you can see this because of the glare, but it says Matchstick Men. It's one of my favorite, maybe even my favorite Ridley Scott movie. It has the great Nicolas Cage and the great Sam Rockwell with a great turn by, and I know this actress, I just forgot her name, Alison Lohman. If you haven't seen this movie, it's so much fun. I identify with the Nicolas Cage character somewhat. He's OCD, obsessive compulsive. Maybe that a little bit, but not to the degree that he is. And obviously, I just love Sam Rockwell, as most of you probably do. So if you do not look at the description of this movie. Do not read anything about it. They might spoil it. Because I think just even talking about the first 10 minutes or 20 minutes might spoil it. It's worth just jumping into if you haven't seen Matchstick Men. This is a DVD copy. I need the Blu-ray, or a better version. Here's another one I'm going to show you. Recommendations. My wife was saying, oh, we need to watch this again. Just yesterday. This is a documentary. A film music documentary called Score. I've recommended it on here before, but I might as well bring it up again. It goes through the history of musical scores in movies, the so-called great composers of scores, and it shows you, this is what I like the best, how they go about composing, from writing the music to then recording it. And, you go in depth, and it has a number of interviews or just little clips from all the ones you know. I mean, Danny Elfman. Actually, I don't think John Williams is in here, but people like Elfman, and I'm going to look in the back here, Rachel Portman, Hans Zimmer, yeah, I think maybe Trent Reznor is in here, Howard Shore, people you know. Thomas Newman, that's who I was looking for. Yeah, he's on here too. So this is really good for learning about how they make scores. And I want to encourage anybody who's a film composer or a music composer, even just a musician, to write music for videos. I think there's wild and crazy opportunities to create film music, video music. All you have to do is write it. You have to have just the instrument and the recording equipment and just use a public domain movie. I mean, you can use silent movies that are in the public domain, create a score for them, and put it out on YouTube. And as long as it's in the public domain, there's no copyright. And you can have your music heard and then show your skills as a composer. I'm actually tempted to do this myself one of these days. I don't know that I could really do it, but I think a number of you probably could, those of you who are creative. And so I suggest doing that if you can. Welcome, a bunch of people jumping in here now. Welcome, everybody. Go watch the first 5 minutes of this. All right, so what else is there to do? Letterboxd, newsletter, recommendations, and now we're going to go to the, what I like, Criterion Channel. By the way, I'm not sponsored by anybody. So whatever I'm mentioning here, no one's paying me yet. But no, I don't get paid. I just like this stuff. Whatever I like, I share with you. No strings attached. So let's go to, let me bring this up, Criterion Channel, which I watched through the Neo-Noir collection in Criterion, and I did a whole video on that, a live stream a week ago. So check out my Neo-Noir live stream. Tons of recommendations there. So I won't go over that. Let me fix this. Let me get my window a little smaller. See if I can do this. There we go. So this is what's leaving the Criterion Channel. If you don't have it, you can obviously buy it. I have a $90 per year membership, which is a crazy good deal. Especially given that Netflix is now charging $14 a month. I don't know what Disney is charging. It's, all these things add up. If you do a number of them, Hulu. Those of you in foreign countries or countries other than the United States, you can get a VPN, virtual private network. I'm sure there are other ways to do this, get this thing. But, okay, where's my printer? Oh, there we go. Get rid of that. So, anyway, leaving Criterion Channel, this is what I go to because it narrows down my selections. Criterion Channel has like 3,000 movies. I could spend a decade watching 3,000 movies. So this is my way to narrow it down because I may never see these movies again on the streaming service, or they're just will disappear for a certain period of time. So I'm looking at this and going, okay, I've got a few older movies, as you can see, black and white, and I'm clearly noticing when I look at this that the John Huston collection is going to disappear from Criterion, or a lot of it will. Because you'll see a number of John Huston movies. Now, you're going to ask, who is John Huston? Some of you know, some of you don't. He's a big, tall guy, the bad guy in Chinatown. And he's a famous classic director from now the classical period of Hollywood, from about the 1940s to, when did he stop? The 80s or 90s, maybe? Maybe the 90s. I forget, but that period of time, highly influential. I've done a couple of videos on his movies. Treasure of the Sierra Madre with Humphrey Bogart is a classic. And, you know probably 5 or 6 of his movies just by word of mouth or on the great American film lists that you've perused. I've not seen most of these, so maybe I'll have to go through a couple of them, including this one with Bette Davis. But as I scroll down here, this one is Marlon Brando in it. Never have seen it. I didn't even know about this movie, which is why I perused this list. That looks interesting to me, and so I've added it to my watch list. Based on a Carson McCullers novel. So this semi-famous 20th century American author, Elizabeth Taylor, Marlon Brando, Brian Keith. This looks like my kind of thing right there. Marlon Brando is great. So then there's another version, which is the color version. I'm not sure what this is because it looks pretty yellow there, doesn't it? But yeah, so The Asphalt Jungle is a classic noir. You definitely should try that one. And then one of my favorite movies since I was almost a kid, and I still like it. So any movie I like since a child, and I think is still good today, I believe must be a pretty good movie. And The Man Who Would Be King, made in the 1970s, about two men, adventuresome British officers, I think, would-be colonialists, venture into a region of Afghanistan and colonize it. And this is based on the Rudyard Kipling short story. Actually, it's about 50 pages. The Man Who Would Be King, which is based on perhaps British adventurism, in Afghanistan. Well, this is well timed because the U.S. just pulled out of Afghanistan, 1 or 2 months ago, after being there 20 years. And I remember watching this movie and the commentary on it about 20 years ago when the U.S. went in there and became a colonizer. And then people were going, well, haven't you seen this movie? In a way, it's a response to Lawrence of Arabia. Maybe even a darker version of Lawrence of Arabia. Yes, it does focus on the would-be white savior. So that's going to be the critique of this, probably still, even though, it's 40 years old. So it's going to be dated to somewhat, but it focuses less on the natives or the Afghanis or whoever's in the movie than it does the two men. Here, as you see, Sean Connery and Michael Caine. But these are both great actors. They're both quite a good contrast. A very memorable movie, and it should teach any future empire never to invade and occupy Afghanistan. This is no duh from the time of Alexander the Great. I don't know who doesn't know this, but apparently the American state did not. Oh, John Huston did The African Queen. That's a classic movie. My wife loves it. I love it. So then it's a great romance movie. I should show that to my kids. Very fun. And I think now that I'm looking at these, Huston just loved this character contrast. Two characters, one rugged, one elegant, and that's what's going on, and one religious and one non-religious in African Queen. Kind of what's going on with The Man Who Would Be King, but different contrasts. So maybe that's a strategy on his part. I'd have to watch a couple of his movies to see. He did Moulin Rouge. I didn't know that. So I'm going to add that. This movie, The Dead. There's Moby Dick. Just read that novel. But anyway, you can see a bunch of John Huston movies. And a couple of musicals. West Side Story's in here, and Annie, which, yeah. And then that's really most of what's going on here. I didn't see a lot I knew, but if you all have seen any of these, let us know what's good here. Is this Dennis Hopper movie any good? I don't know. Whenever I go to the Criterion Channel, I feel humbled. I think, I've watched more movies. My social circle. I've watched more movies than them, probably. And I know a very wide scope of movie history compared to the average or the common person I know. But then I come to Criterion Channel and I'm a mere mortal. There's no film scholar ever who could have watched all of these. So that's why the channel's great. You can just endlessly discover stuff. Here's a John Ford movie. I don't love it. I saw it in high school. They showed it in high school class, but I really like this period of time. I actually did a video on Black Robe, one of the very few movies set in early America before the American Revolution. And this is another one. There's a long period of time in North America, 1492 to 1776, where there was a bunch of colonies and a bunch of contact with native peoples and the French and other sorts of European groups are around. And, this movie is definitely on one side, the English settlement, but at least it's set in that time and place. Yeah, so I just looked through this, and I don't know this one, A Walk with Love and Death. So there's another John Huston movie. There's 8 or 9 of them right there. Anyway, so that's not that helpful. I just gave you a few movies, but not any suggestions besides Men Who Would Be King and African Queen. I ventured over to this, which is What's Leaving Netflix. If you're still subscribed to it. Now, if you're not subscribed, let me know. I'd love to know who is still watching Netflix, because there's so much stuff on there. And to me, it's a very annoying service, because once I just start it up, it starts going, and it blasts things in my ear. It's not quiet, and it keeps going, and it assumes I'm going to binge watch until I'm dead. I think it treats me as a child, Netflix, and I don't like it. And they have a lot of mediocre or to bad content, and it's hard to wade through their system and service. So maybe this is helpful. October 2021, Ferris Bueller's Day Off goes away. People know that one, I think. And I rolled through here. And I'm looking at this, and I'm going, are any of these any good? And I look at October 31st, I go, well, Inception's leaving. A lot of people know that one. That's over 10 years old. The one I do like on this list, maybe, this is heresy, but it's maybe my favorite Spielberg movie, is Catch Me If You Can, which is based on a real-life story, and Tom Hanks is chasing Leonardo DiCaprio. I watched it once. I thought it was very fun. So that one could be checked. But here we go with more Hollywood movies. So, bouncing over, here's one more thing. I'm going to show you the releases. Is October going to be any good? Now, what's funny, most of these movies, a great number of them, were scheduled to come out 12 to 18 months ago. So, movie studios, these actors, directors have been sitting on these movies for 12 to 18 months because of the coronavirus pandemic. I remember the movie poster for No Time to Die. That's the James Bond movie coming out, and that was April 2020. Do you remember that month? I think I was stuck in my house, like a lot of you were, and it was supposed to come out then. Well, now we're 18 months later, and here it comes. So I assume it was finished at that point, but they didn't release it. Anyway, No Time to Die, James Bond. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes long. Are they going to provide me with a pillow? I mean, I think it has a shot to be a decent quality Bond movie. It's probably got some great sequences, assuming they don't overcut it and too many shots. That's been one of the problems with the Bond movies. They've been very badly, and for my style, my preference is badly edited. It's going to be it's going to not be awful, but it's not going to be great, right? It's what I would call a high floor, low ceiling movie, right? They're aiming for the pretty good range, and they always are. I don't think they're trying to be great. And I can't remember one great Bond movie. Although if you have a favorite Bond movie, let us know in the comments. I'd love to know what the best Bond movie ever is. I can't think of one I would say, that's great. I can say, these are pretty good. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you should tell me what the Bond movies are that are good. Halloween, another Halloween movie. Yeah. Last Duel with Ridley Scott. I don't know. This is Affleck and Damon with Adam Driver. I don't know what to do with that one. I'm looking at, by the way, these here with the bolded entries are the wide releases in America. So if you're in the United States and you live in a remote area and you have a movie theater with 5 screens, these probably will be coming to your theater. The ones that have no bolding will be coming to limited release opportunities, like showing in 3 cities or several big cities. And so I personally have no access to these movies. And actually I'm rating for video on demand like this one is, because people like me living in the hinterland do not have access. So actually I like video on demand, the idea of it at least. Dune is coming out there October 22nd. We said that. I don't know what Ron's Gone Wrong is, but it's opening opposite of Dune, which doesn't sound like a great idea, because I think a lot of people take their kids to Dune. We'll see. I will probably watch that movie because they still have a 7-year-old who might be interested in it. And then this one I want to highlight. Now, I like Scott Cooper. I like him as a director. I think he's probably underrated because no one knows his name. But he directed a number of movies. I mean, you'll see it here. Crazy Heart, Out of the Furnace, Black Mass was not great, but Hostiles I like. then he has this horror movie. It looks so cliche when you read it, the description of it. I just can't imagine this is great, but this is another one they held off for 18 months, and then they're opening it opposite of, well, I guess nothing. I don't know what Last Night in Soho is. So they're opening it before Halloween, but not widely. So they don't understand this because the movies that he's made have all been released widely throughout the United States. So it makes me curious. This one looks cliche, 2 is not a wide release. Is it going to bomb? Do they think it will bomb? I don't know. So that's October. I'm not sure about November. I didn't look at November, but hopefully these oh gosh, November looks awful. Well, maybe. I don't know. But hopefully these releases get better, but I'm just not sure. I just don't know. And we'll see. I'm going to go to Bond tonight, as I said, and review it. So anyway, there you go. There are some recommendations for you, but if I were you, I'd look in the chat, because we have some very smart people on this channel watching it regularly, contacting me, commenting, and it's been I really appreciate all of you. Great interactions with all of you, because there's a lot of smart people here, which is not always the case on social media. And I'm a little surprised at the intelligence level of this channel. But what I see, because I get to see all the comments, and all across the whole channel, and it's really interesting. So I'm going to check out the comments now and interact with you a little bit. So thanks for watching if you're going to quit. But no, don't do that. Here we go. Hi, guys. Yeah, James Bond is out in the UK. Is James Bond any good? Did you say it's good? Yeah, okay, question here. Favorite Bond movie? Now, I was thinking about this as I was talking just about 3 minutes ago about what's your favorite Bond movie. Isn't Spectre up there? I feel like one of these last two, which I cannot even remember what's in them. Spectre, Skyfall. It was one of those two I thought was really good, or different. And yeah, they're making James Bond more complex. They're calling out his toxic masculinity or something like that. I don't know what they're doing that way, but I'm looking this up. It was Spectre or Skyfall. One of them's lit by Roger Deakins. In fact, maybe both of them are. So it was really good to look at. I like James Bond, the last 4 or 5, because of the suits. I think the tailors in James Bond are absolutely, the costume designers are absolutely amazing. They have fitted Daniel Craig perfectly, and so I need to get in touch with one of them for my own suits. Because they make him look great. It doesn't matter how he acts. If he's a horrible actor or not, he'll look great. So I can't remember my favorite Bond movie. I'm sure it's probably like Goldfinger or something. I can't remember them all. In fact, I'll pull up a list of Bond movies, because let's just go through this. Are Bond movies high art? And the answer probably is no. They're not ultra complex. They're for obviously entertainment purposes and spectacles, and to make money to some extent, which is okay. It doesn't mean they'll be great. Here's the list. This is Wikipedia. Oh my goodness. Quantum of Solace is awful. That's the one that's edited so badly. I can't believe they released it. I use it in my class as an example. I don't watch the whole movie, just parts of it. We look at parts of it. I just use an example of like incomprehensible film grammar in terms of editing, at least. I don't remember the Pierce Brosnan movies. I know they came out when I was in college. There's Timothy Dalton movies there, which I haven't seen. I haven't seen many of these in 20 years or more. They used to show on television in the United States Bond movie marathons, and they would have a whole week of, this is like on TBS or TNT, the TV stations, of straight Bond movies, one right after the other. And so the only ones I really remember are The Man with the Golden Gun has an awesome final sequence, which is a Hall of Mirrors sequence quoting maybe The Lady from Shanghai by Orson Welles, and then it's requoted in John Wick 2, of all things. So that's a weird progression. But I remember that sequence for some reason. It's really striking. And I don't know, it's from Russia with Love, Goldfinger, something like that. That's maybe among the best if you like Connery. I don't know, guys. What do you think, guys and gals? So that's the Bond affair. And, you know, is James Bond worn out is one of the questions. I mean, James Bond was a classic secret agent when the U.S. and the USSR were bipolar powers in the world. It's a Cold War era spy series written by Ian Fleming, who's British. And it may be talking about the question of the British as a former empire, as an empire in decay, in a world of two other major superpowers. And I think maybe that's what's going on from like in this range right here. But then you get down here and like it's post Cold War. How much does Bond change? And at this point right here, we're talking about Bond's toxic masculinity, his imperialism. I mean, those sorts of things which criticize him, and then they give him a complex psychological character, some of which I like, some of which is just, I don't know, it's just typical American political stuff. But I can't remember. I mean, I remember those movies looking good. Skyfall and Spectre. I can't sort them out in my head, though, which is which. Let me go back to my my chat here. This is always so much fun. I never thought I would talk about Bond here. Okay. Yeah. I gotta watch Blade Runner 2049, by the way. I was just thinking about that the other day. I didn't like it when it came out, partly because it seems to be a complete rehash of the original. As in, if you've watched Blade Runner about 5 times like me, it seems to be redoing it all. Everything in the original Blade Runner comes back. It doesn't. I would like it to have developed more. However, it's a fabulous looking movie. Blade Runner 2049. So you can go read my review of it on Letterboxd or my little piece on, I forget what I did. But I'm sort of half and half on it, but I should rewatch it because I think 2049 could get better with time. And I like all the actors in that for sure. So anyway. Yeah, Cold Figure. I'm sorting through this. Okay, someone asked me. I'm skipping some questions. I love you guys a lot. I just got to go to a few of these because I got to go. Today's my break. I have a holiday today. I have work to do, but I want to go play too. My favorite horror movie. Now this month in October, you're going to see across YouTube all of these review channels putting out horror movie reviews, horror movie videos. They do this every year. I am not a horror movie person much. I don't get scared, for one thing, by horror movies. I get scared by movies like The Lives of Others, the German movie about East Germany and spying. Spying, paranoia, the horrors within the human heart. That scares me. Monsters, not as much. So I'm less of a horror movie person than probably your average YouTuber. But I'm going to release videos on The Thing, is one of them, The Shining, and Ed Wood. So those three, I have 3 videos on. I'm not a Halloween person either, but I decided to go along with the spirit of the season. So yeah, those 3 are coming out. I like The Thing better and better as I watch it over and over again. I have a video on a great movie. I think it's Carnival of Souls, which I really like. I like it when the horror movies are doing this thing where is the monster in your head or not? And so Carnival of Souls is an absolute classic in my opinion and should be watched. It's really, if you like Ingmar Bergman, you should watch that movie because the director takes B-movie horror, combines it with European art house, and this is 1962. It's really interesting. So those of you who have not seen that video by me on Carnival of Souls, go watch it. It's in the Criterion Collection. I really like that movie a lot. Yeah. Horror movie, I can't think of. Oh, jeez. You know, I have one on Aliens. Is Aliens a horror movie? Not, kind of not. I mean, it's more of a military movie. So there you go. Yeah. Hi. Oh, you like Quantum of Solace? Interesting. Now, I should rewatch it. I haven't seen it since 2008. So when I talk about a movie that I haven't seen in 15 years, it's like, well, I'm not sure I really like it or not because I got to rewatch it. Right now, I'm older, wiser, more experienced, hopefully. So what I saw 15 years ago, I may have a completely different judgment. And I'm always sort of rewatching things. Lately, I've been watching 1990s movies because I think my view of them is totally skewed by being a high school, college student during the 1990s, seeing them then, and now I'm watching them as a middle-aged dude who does this thing. So, yeah, I see them differently, for sure. Yeah, Blade Runner 2049 is too long, or it's a great continuation from Blade Runner. Oh, Connery's tailoring was stylish, much better than Craig's, huh? Man, is that right? I gotta look at that more carefully. I haven't done a comparison of the Bond's tailoring. I'm sure they were always good, but back when I was watching Bond on TV, I was paying zero attention to clothes, and back then I didn't care about clothes. Now that I care somewhat, I'm just wearing a t-shirt today, but I care somewhat, and I would look at the tailoring. In fact, that is an understudied. If you want to go into movie scholarship, or do this even the movie YouTube stuff, go into costume design, which it's going to have an audience. I don't see how it couldn't. You're going to pull in people who are interested in clothes and fashion, plus movie lovers. So both of those combined on the channel that talks about movie clothing, great costume designers, I can't imagine that wouldn't be really good. And I don't think that's well studied at all, either in academics on film or on the popular medium like YouTube. So I just off the top of my head, go do a channel on costume design in movies. That would be amazing. There probably is something, I'm sure, but I've never seen it. Yeah, it just strikes me that would be a really interesting topic, I think. The Devil Rides Out. Mr. Watson is always here, so I'll take his recommendations. I have not heard of that. You also like Something Wicked This Way Comes. Isn't that a Disney movie? That was put out by Disney and during their early 1980s period when they were making everything super scary, right? It's a Ray Bradbury story or a novel, so it's worth reading. Something Wicked This Way Comes. I have not seen it since I was probably 10 years old. So if you're saying watch it, okay. Actually, I will definitely look at that pretty hard. Yeah. Polanski's Macbeth. I saw that in high school. They showed it. Didn't they? Yeah, I think they did. I haven't seen that in a long time. I should rewatch that too. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, Jacob's Ladder. Yeah, if you want some good science fiction horror movies, just check out my Letterboxd list of science fiction, and you'll see a few horror movies there. There are some strange ones. One's on the Criterion Channel. It's called God Told Me To. Go look that up. It's schlocky but interesting. God Told Me To. I won't tell you what it's about. I saw it in the New York City collection on Criterion. There's another one I've recommended like 5 times on this channel called Demon Seed, and it's this forgotten 1970s movie about a woman who is the wife. I think it's Julie Christie. She's the wife of a guy who works for a corporation that's created an artificial intelligence. They let this artificial intelligence control their house, like their thermostat and their doors, and then she is jailed by this artificial intelligence. It would be a great watch. Again, I watched it before lockdown and coronavirus, but it would be great to watch this. She is captured in her own home by the artificial intelligence that controls all the devices and all the doorways and all the plumbing in her home. And it's science fiction, but it's sort of horror. I don't know if that's on Criterion, but Demon Seed, go look that one up. Demon Seed, S-E-E-D. I mean, those are two unknown ones that I saw. Criterion had a collection about maybe 2 years ago on 1970s science fiction, and those two, God Told Me To and Demon Seed, were in it. I mean, they're not absolutely amazing. They're just kind of fun finds, and you might like those. Yeah, and Cronenberg too. Cronenberg's kind of a horror movie director. All right, I got a holiday today, guys, so I'm gonna get out of here. It's been fun. Subscribe to my stuff, newsletter, and letterbox. I'm looking forward to your comments. I'll review James Bond, put that out on Friday if you're watching this today, October 7th. looks like people from all over the world. Anybody want to chime in on Dune? Have you seen Dune? Oh, no one's commented on Dune yet, so I'm very curious. Yeah. I don't know about Dune, so we'll see. Anyway, thanks everybody. Have a great week, great month. See you in November.